Not every flop is earned. Sometimes a movie crashes because of bad marketing, studio panic, or just terrible timing. Today we're going through 7 fantasy films that should have been hits, and definitely didn't deserve the box office disaster they got. Dragonslayer was one of the boldest fantasy films of the early 80s, released long before dragons became a mainstream obsession. It follows a young sorcerer's apprentice on a mission to defeat a monstrous dragon that has been terrorizing a kingdom for generations. The creature work was done by Industrial Light and Magic, the visual effects studio founded by George Lucas for the original Star Wars. Despite strong reviews, Dragonslayer earned only $14 million on an $18 million budget. Marketing could not decide whether it was a family adventure or a dark fantasy, and the film was overshadowed by bigger releases. Another fantasy gem of the early 80s, Krull is a film that cost more than A New Hope and nearly as much as The Empire Strikes Back. Peter Yates went all in on scale. 23 massive sets, constant script rewrites that forced the crew to rebuild entire environments, and a full orchestral score by James Horner, performed by the London Symphony Orchestra. Even the quicksand sequence, which barely takes up a few minutes of screen time, required tons of shaved cork and a dedicated shoot on Pinewood's gigantic 007 stage. The story follows Prince Colwyn, whose wedding is interrupted when the Beast's soldiers kidnap his bride and kill his father. Guided by the elder Inyar, he learns about the glaive, a mystical 5-bladed weapon only the Chosen One can claim. Colwyn's journey gathers a magician, a doomed Cyclops, and a group of thieves that includes a young Liam Neeson, all united by the goal of finding the Black Fortress before it shifts locations at sunrise. Despite its enormous ambition and production value, Krull earned just $16.9 million on a budget approaching $30 million. But with time, its strange mix of sci-fantasy, operatic visuals, and sheer 80s boldness turned it into a true cult favorite. Ladyhawke had everything it needed to be a hit. A major studio behind it, an experienced director, and a sweeping medieval fantasy story that should have pulled audiences in. Instead, it barely earned back its budget and quietly slipped through the cracks. Set in 14th century France, the film follows a young thief known as Mouse, who escapes from a prison and crosses paths with a mysterious knight, Navarre. Mouse soon learns that Navarre and his beloved Isabeau live under a cruel curse. By day, she becomes a hawk, and by night, he transforms into a wolf. They travel together yet can never meet in human form, except for a few fleeting seconds at dawn, a moment filmed with heartbreaking clarity as the sun rises and the curse snaps back into place. Mouse becomes caught up in their attempt to break the spell and confront the bishop whose jealousy doomed them. Beautifully shot and emotionally sincere, it struggled to find an audience in 1985, earning only around $18 million on a $20 million budget. Before Amélie made him an international name, Jean-Pierre Jeunet co-directed one of the strangest and most visually ambitious fantasy films of the 1990s, The City of Lost Children. The story takes place in a decaying port city, where a mad scientist named Crank, who cannot dream, kidnaps children to steal theirs. Ron Perlman plays one, a circus strongman who sets out to rescue his little brother from Crank's eerie fortress, a world filled with mechanical cults, cloned henchmen, and even a brain floating in a tank. Co-directed with Mark Caro and scored by Twin Peaks composer Angelo Badalamenti, the film looks unlike anything else from its decade. Its gothic industrial sets, saturated colors, and hand-built effects create a grim fairy tale that feels both nightmarish and beautiful. Critics admired its imagination, but audiences stayed away. Against an $18 million budget, it didn't even make $2 million worldwide, a brutal box office failure. Time has been a little kinder since then. The film now has its devoted fans, And if you've never seen it, it's definitely one worth discovering. 1999 is remembered as one of the best years in movie history. The Matrix, Fight Club, The Mummy, The Sixth Sense. And hidden among those hits was a film that became a legend for the wrong reasons. The 13th Warrior, a historical epic based on Michael Crichton's Eaters of the Dead, paired Crichton's name with director John McTiernan, the man behind Die Hard and Predator. On paper, it looked bulletproof. In reality, it became one of the decade's most infamous box office bombs. Production was chaotic from the start. McTiernan delivered his cut, but Crichton was unhappy and took over, personally reshooting scenes and re-editing the film. The result was a creative tug-of-war that left neither man satisfied. Budgets ballooned far beyond the original $60 million plan. Most estimates place it near $85 million. Disney's Touchstone Pictures didn't know how to market it, and the film was quietly dumped into theaters at the end of summer 1999. It opened second behind The Sixth Sense, another Disney film that completely overshadowed it, and collapsed from there, finishing with around $62 million worldwide. Critics dismissed it as grim and confused, but over time, many viewers have revisited it as a bold, moody adventure that deserved better. When The Fall premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2006, it left audiences bewildered. Director Tarsem Singh had poured years, and nearly all of his own money, into creating something that looked like no other film. Shot across 24 countries without a single frame of CGI, it's a mosaic of real landscapes, surreal colors, and painterly compositions. The result was a visual masterpiece that no one knew how to market. With a $30 million budget and only $3.7 million earned worldwide, The Fall quietly vanished from theaters. Critics were divided, and most audiences never saw it. At its heart, it's a story set in a 1920s Los Angeles hospital where a paralyzed stuntman befriends a young girl recovering from a broken arm. To distract her, he invents a sweeping adventure about heroes on a quest for revenge, a story that blurs the line between fantasy and their real lives. Disney was hoping for the next Star Wars when it adapted Edgar Rice Burroughs' 1912 novel, A Princess of Mars, into John Carter. They handed the film to Andrew Stanton, fresh off Finding Nemo and WALL-E, brought in novelist Michael Chabon to work on the script, and cast Taylor Kitsch as a Civil War veteran mysteriously transported to Mars. On the page, it looked like the start of a massive new franchise. On screen, John Carter is a big, pulpy planetary fantasy that mixes alien tribes, ruined cities, and arena battles with a genuine sense of wonder at discovering a new world. Some of the creatures and effects lean a little too close to animation, and that put off part of the audience. But as an adventure, it plays brisk and entertaining, especially for families and pulp sci-fi fans. Financially, though, it was a disaster. With a production budget of about $263.7 million and a reported marketing spend of roughly $100 million, it needed far more than its $282.8 million worldwide haul to break even. The confusing title, bland trailers, and unfocused campaign meant many viewers never understood what the film was supposed to be. Instead of launching a franchise, John Carter went down in history as a notorious bomb, even though as a piece of fantasy filmmaking, it's far more fun than its reputation suggests.